December meeting. Public comment, question, concerns related to agenda-related matters. Who would like to be the first person? Yes, sir.
Bob Resnick. I seem to say this about every time, but it would be useful for us to be able to discuss committee reports, to see them in advance, rather than having to wait until next month to discuss them. Given your current rules, that we can't discuss things as they're brought up to your council, such as reports. We have to wait 30 days to discuss something in a committee report.
We don't receive any written committee reports. The only
Is there any
written committee
reason
reports you're hearing for the first time, same time we are.
Is there any reason they could not be provided to you
That-
12 hours in advance?
If the committees wanted to write a report, that's entirely up to them.
And there's nothing that prohibits you from commenting on the oral committee reports at the end of the meeting.
Well, according to the,
Mr. Resnick, we've gone over this before, that the the action items are on the agenda, and those need to be commented on prior, in the beginning part. But committee reports, though they're listed, the substance of them are not there, so you are free to comment on committee reports at the end of the meeting.
thank you.
Number two, second question, comment, concern?
Desiree. I want you to know, discuss creating the position of borough manager. Would that be a new position entirely, or would that just be a new title designation for Allison?
Well, it would be a new position entirely, but it would ultimately be a new designation for Allison.
There's not gonna be a borough secretary and a borough manager.
Right. It would be joined into one position, but it would be created as a new position.
Okay,
We don't currently have a borough manager
Well,
position
right.
indicated in our ordinances.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so there wouldn't be Allison and then a second person, it would be merged.
Not at this time, correct.
And just, I guess a little follow-up to that is, like, what difference does the title make? Like, we're 661 people. Like, why a special designation now that we've never had? Well, someone must have put it on the agenda.
This
Go ahead.
designation properly accounts for all of what Allison is actually doing. She's doing far more than a secretary's job. And so
Agreed.
the designation is just an acknowledgement of what that position is actually doing.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't pushing her out of a position.
No.
Because she
It's just-
does
it's
a
just-
good job at
she's
what
far
she
beyond
does.
a secretary.
Right, okay.
She's exhibited that. She does far more than the current title encompasses.
And that position has to be created by ordinance, which is why you can't just promote her to that position, you have to have an ordinance to create it, so it can't be.
Yeah, I was just hoping they weren't somehow trying to squeeze her out, that's all, that was my concern. So thank you, Lisa.
Will this position come with SOPs?
No, there's no SOPs for this position.
I'm just
All the duties and responsibilities will get outlined in the ordinance. So those are the operating procedures, the ordinance. The ordinance covers.
So whatever you post is gonna be the job description,
Pretty much.
essentially.
Yep. They're all the duties, all the responsibilities.
So that's an annual appointment then?
Hold on a second. No, the ordinance is not, it creates the position, but it doesn't state that it has to be appointed annually.
I believe that there is a contract requirement, Deb, of number 2 years, but that's not part of the ordinance, it's part of the borough code.
Yeah.
I could be
So,
wrong.
Outside,
I'll double
outside.
check on it,
double
we can
check
talk
that.
about it on when we get to the agenda.
Maybe something I read.
All right.
There was something about, I will double check on that.
Anybody else?
Will that be, just to follow up, will that become a permanent full-time position then?
Yes,
40 hours?
not 40 hours, but full-time, as we define full-time. Marty, you got another question?
No.
Anybody, Tim? Yeah.
So, since this is on the agenda, and I can't ask it while you bring it up, because you might make a motion on it. It says that you're going to be discuss the meetings to advertise the dates for the meetings in 2023. Do you have plans of changing the nights for those meetings?
I don't have plans of doing it, I don't know if anybody else
It was
does.
just because we have to advertise
Yeah.
January's meeting, and instead of doing it in January and advertising January's meeting and then advertising everybody else's, if we sit every other meeting, if we tonight confirm those the date and times of the meeting, I can just advertise once for the entire year.
No, I get that, and I understand that, but
They should stay the same.
should.
Yeah.
Because
I don't-
you
unless
also
somebody else
ran,
raises
you also
it.
ran knowing that both meetings were on Mondays, and you switched them 3 times, so, for the work session.
As of right now, they should stay the same. Other question, comment, concern, as a review?
Discuss the letter from the Broadhead Watershed Association. What does that entail? There's never enough detail for us to know what's going on.
I think they're looking for us to join. I think that's what the letter states, basically,
Yeah.
they want us to be a member of their association. I think that's it, essentially, what the letter says.
Okay, and then I have another question if no one
Yeah, go
else
ahead.
has one. Okay. The motion to amend the LSA grant resolution to include 2 signatories. Which grant is that for exactly, and who's the first signatory?
That was for the grant that the fire department received.
That's what I
For
thought.
whatever reason, it was only put down as, 1 signatory, so it had to be amended to include 2 signatories. So that we
Okay,
could-
is there
so that
one
we could get
currently?
Is there
One signatory currently.
on the resolution? Our current resolution only allowed for 1 signatory, but we need.
And who is that? Is
I
there
think
a
it's
person?
Probably you, I think I was the one.
You, okay, thank you.
That'll probably just be the analysis. Any other questions?
Yeah, one more.
Yes.
Just kind of follow up on the borough manager thing. Like the job description, is it any different than what Ileana was doing?
It will be posted. The entire ordinance will be posted before we're able to
I
create
guess that, at least mentioned that she's doing a lot more than, I guess,
what a secretary does, what a borough secretary does.
was Ileana borough secretary or borough manager?
No, there was no borough manager position, so Ileana was a borough secretary.
So then the question was, is she doing more than what, that was on her plate, that was on Ileana's plate?
Amy, I'd be something to answer that.
It's hard to, you're asking for a comparison.
No, people.
I would think, if I had to answer from my heart or what I believe she's doing more. Because this last budget,
That's not a problem.
preparation, she was very much, a part of that, as opposed to asking someone to do something after. There's many other duties that she does on her own that takes upon, that helps the borough. And, I mean, it's just a recognition of when you look at something, you say someone's your secretary, and then you realize they're doing far beyond a secretary's description. It's to upgrade what the description of that actual, duty is.
Essentially, it's a secretary position is a misnomer, because she's basically
Right.
manages for us.
And it may have been a misnomer when Ileana was here,
Oh,
and
it
just
was.
the council at the
It was.
time
It
didn't
was.
do it, so it's
Right.
not in any way diminishing what Ileana did, it's just what,
I know, I'm just looking at I guess we'll wait and see what the bump up in salary is.
I think Ileana was also a borough administrator. I think, we made her a borough administrator. She was secretary, yeah.
Any other questions, Tim?
You're gonna go into executive session to update on, PD SOPs. Larry, have you had a chance to look at them, or what's your opinion on them?
The chief finally provided them to me, and I took a look at them. Of course, he's a police officer, he's gonna know more when it comes to
Sure.
those things than I do. I can can say, if anybody doesn't know, did have a meeting with the chief, myself, Zach, and, is it Harrison?
John Harrison.
John
And Deb.
Harrison.
Deb
And,
Conway.
and we discussed a lot of things about the old SOPs and the new ones that have been presented. The new ones are certainly not tailored to the Borough Police Department. They're kind of boilerplate. So out of that meeting, the chief is gonna go through and tailor it more toward the department, and also sit down with Harrison, and if I'm available, I'm gonna join the meeting to go through each one of those things. It's gonna be a little bit time consuming, but I think we'll be able to go through it and adapt it. But the old SOPs, they were great SOPs. But apparently, according to Mr. Harrison, they would be inadequate for what's needed for the borough in case we were to go to court or anything like that.
So any idea why, I think it was a $2,500 bill that we paid for these SOPs, why he didn't maybe consult with you or the police to maybe tailor them more towards us instead of all this rework now?
I don't know. I don't know what was discussed when I wasn't around. I think maybe it was just an easier decision was to go ahead and come up with a boilerplate and try to tailor them back toward our police department. I'm not sure.
And who do the police report to?
They report to the mayor, but council does have certain, they set budgets and hours and things like that, so. The way it was explained to me is it's the mayor and council should be working in concert and managing the police department. And I've never had a problem with that. I think we can do that. But day-to-day operations usually report to the mayor.
Any other questions, comments, concerns, Timmy?
Yeah, if you're gonna go into executive session to discuss compensation packages, does that include bumping the police, pay, at least for Mike, up to what the other employees make?
I don't know exactly what we're allowed to disclose or what we can't disclose outside of executive session, to be honest with you, but,
We're gonna find out.
It will be a motion regarding wages for all employees. There'd be discussion regarding all employees and then possible motion regarding the wages for all employees.
Well, I think it's an insult what we paid them.
Oh.
And it was an insult when I was on the board, when we tried to get them bumped up, and some of, I don't know, it seems like there's always, I don't know, you scrutinize the police and not other things, and I think they deserve, at least Mike, I don't know about this.
all I can say is stick around after the.
Oh, we will be,
We will.
we will.
And then maybe you'll have different, anybody else?
I'd like to second that, what Tim said, the police, that's vital to our town, our safety, and, I think they should get a wage. It's ridiculous. When you put themselves at risk. And, the other thing, the constable, is that still up for, the constable, is that open?
One more time?
The constable position, is that open?
Yeah, the constable position, we do not have a borough constable. We don't have a constable, our borough constable retired. So it is open, I don't know if it's up for election, it's an elected position, I don't know if it's in, it should be if it isn't, but I don't know how that works.
Okay.
That's outside of the borough, you have to call election for,
Okay.
elections or voter registration.
It's my tenant of many years, he's well qualified, great guy.
Yeah, I don't know if there's, what the qualifications are, but if you just tell him to give them a call and they will tell him.
Yeah, Kurt, yes, a lot of people know him. Great guy, great citizen, and a great tenant and neighbor. And, I think he's gonna be applying for that.
Does he live in the borough?
Yes. Yeah, a long time.
Wasn't that our problem last time?
That was a problem.
It was a problem.
Yes.
But under all business, the police oversight committee, to appoint a new chairperson.
Yeah.
What would be the purpose of appointing a chair for this committee? It has never met, it will likely never meet, because it's not needed. But moreover, it's not even a committee that is listed on the borough page.
borough webpage is a work in progress. And all
It's the only one that's not there.
All committees have changed.
I'll look into that, I thought that all of the committees were there, I'll look into that and
Okay.
make sure it's posted.
Anybody else?
Are you ever gonna meet though? Is it ever gonna meet?
It's gonna be up to the chair, whoever the chair is.
Yeah, cause it's not needed.
Anybody else?
He's gonna be the chair.
Since we're talking about the constable, does the constable like report to anybody? In regards to?
Constable, I don't think we have a constable thing on the agenda.
Right,
So,
Yeah.
if you wanna talk about that, we can talk about that
Yeah.
after the agenda. Anything
even
else
if-
on the agenda?
I mean, whether that would go under police reports or not, whether it would be something that the chief would, would he even report to the chief or anybody? If, you know, we had a flare up in some kind of a confrontation at the last meeting, you would think it would be recorded and, you know, unduly noted.
I don't exactly know what you were asking, Marty. Which agenda item are you referring to?
All right, I'll wait.
Okay, anybody else?
Same thing.
Anybody else?
I wasn't referring to like there is nothing for him, other than if he's just here, he doesn't answer to anybody. You know, you would think he would answer to, I guess, the police, the chief.
Anybody else? On to the agenda. Alright, treasurer's reports. I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report, including accounts payable.
I'd like to make that motion.
Jack makes the motion.
I'll second it.
Jack seconds the motion.
Before we vote, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do headwear here, or work something, workwear, and they are flexible, they're flexible, baseball hats for $181.
Where are you?
First page?
On page Bill's first page.
Oh, I see it. First page, Patriot.
Payville?
Patriot.
What, for campaigning?
It was a police expense,
Huh?
it was a police expense.
Please.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. And then what happens with them, were they auctioned off, or somebody donate some money, or?
Well, how many?
I know we bought some hats last year. But honestly, I don't know how many are in the, how many we have.
Are they only for the police officers?
Yeah, they're Delaware, I believe they just say Delaware Water Police Department on the front that the officers wear on their own.
Yeah, take scrutinizing the police again.
So was this a purchase from last year? But I just.
Not that I'm aware of,
It says 11/14.
How many did we buy?
you want me to get the invoice?
Please.
Yeah. Oh, I must have did. No, I didn't, I didn't know it was part of it.
3 months. I know.
Who would like to see it?
No.
Here you go, Bill.
This says nine fit baseball caps with custom embroidered front, and then there was 2 embroidered name on the back of the cap. And, so altogether it will be, well, 9 and 2, 11 hats with embroidery, $181.
And these are hats for the police department?
So there are 11 hats?
So
Well,
why
it
are we
says
buying
Florida-
11 hats
Florida
for
nine.
police force of 2?
Do they have individual names
That's you,
behind?
right? You're running the police department.
Oh, Jesus.
Larry, do you know? They
Oh,
were-
no, 2 is for the embroidery, it's actually
And 9
9
hats.
hats.
has to, but.
If you want to.
Okay. It is what it is.
I think we should be a little more careful about purchases of something like that.
Oh my God.
That's a joke, that's a joke, Derek. Shut up. 9 hats, a holster.
Before, I don't know whether it fits into this
What
part
is
of
it,
our
scrutinize?
discussion.
$3,800
But
for
we
sign.
really have to have purchase orders. This to operate without them today is crazy. And the only thing you have to do is how much, if you wanna put a $1,000
Okay.
limit on it at this point, and then modify it when we see it
$300
needs
for a sign.
help one way or
Certainly
another.
not less than a couple of
But,
bucks.
Yeah.
and I brought this up with the pipe, when you have something out there, it's an agreement, it protects us for what we want, and it also protects our suppliers, and protects our treasury, so to speak. But we really should have purchase orders for everything, let's say $1,000 or more.
All right, so we can make that an agenda-ish item that we can discuss next time. I made a note. And I'll follow up with you so we can craft it and figure out the best way to put one together. What do you wanna do about this, if anything?
Huh?
You wanna do anything about this line item? You
Well,
wanna-
no, I didn't, no, there's nothing, I just, when I saw it, was a little amusing.
We do have those, we have like a discretionary $200 limit before we need to get approval for certain things. I don't know if this lies under that
Well,
realm, but, you know, if I need office supplies under $200, I don't have to have them pre-approved.
Right.
Harry needs,
She
you
said
know,
it too.
parts for the equipment, it's under $200. That was voted on, I wanna say last year. So I'm not sure if that falls under this, but I just wanted to mention that.
yeah, what I was talking about is, let's say over $1,000 to begin with, so the purchase order would not get in anybody's
I'm
way.
saying that
unless
because
they
he's
buy
making a big
$50,000.
statement about it.
Right.
And it isn't only just to make sure that there's a purchase order, but it gives everybody that can understand what's going on. And when there's any question about what we're buying, you have a document to go back to.
For $1,000 or more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we're gonna,
At the next meeting.
yeah.
Yeah,
Agenda
we'll
item.
work it out at the next meeting, that's fine.
And just a note from the budget, it doesn't look like there's been any money expended on uniforms for the police at all this year.
No,
So
that's-
it just, would be just those hats.
Yeah, 9 hats for 2 days. All right, so any other discussion on the treasurer's report, including accounts payable? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, treasurer's report is approved, motion passed unanimously. All right, now we need a motion to approve the minute meeting for the November 7th, 2022 regular meeting.
I'll make that motion.
All right, and that is Derek makes the motion, anybody seconds?
Second.
Lisa seconds, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And we need a motion to approve the special meeting minutes of November 16th, 2022.
Make a motion.
Lisa makes the motion to approve the special meeting minutes. We have a second.
I'll second it.
Derek seconds, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, superintendent report. Last superintendent report from Harry Darlis.
PA1 calls, we had 1 emergency call, 2 regular ones. We have received the New Holland backhoe. It is functioning well. Craig dropped off the extra forks, a smaller bucket and a spare tire. They're up at Well House 6. He has another battery for it, but it's at his shop. We'll have to run down and pick it up. The trucks and backhoe are all functioning at this time, and they're all in the garage. We received a report from Pennsylvania DEP on the condition of the Lake Lenape Dam. The only issue stated was cleanup of overgrowth and debris should be cleared around the dam area. As a footnote, the borough is responsible for keeping an ongoing report on a 3-month interval on the Lake Lenape Dam and the Calvino Dam. So we're gonna have to come up with a form every 3 months to go up and view the area. So we can get these to the report.
Monster should.
Well, I can only assume we need to do the Calvino Dam up by well 6, but the Lake Lenape Dam stated every 3 months, the record has to be kept. Good idea for both of them. Thank you to the Delaware Water Gap Toll Bridge Commission for loading our salt while we were waiting for the backhoe to come in. We're still waiting for the water pipe from Cherry Valley Road. The water leak we had on Waring Drive, the borough should consider replacing the poor pipe that is in the road. It's not the right standard pipe that should be there. I think that needs to be added to the ongoing list of work to be done. We've had 3 breaks on that road in 3 years. And that's it.
Anybody have any questions for Harry? Harry, on behalf of council, thank you for your service. Thank you for being an amazing superintendent. You are gonna be sorely missed. We wish you well in all your future endeavors. Hopefully you'll still help us out when we need you.
I'll be around.
I know you'll be around.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Harry.
Mayor's report, Larry.
The only thing I really have tonight is, Reach Across America is December 17th. There are many in the room here that belong to that group. We've done a fantastic job again this year by selling or sponsoring wreaths. We're still taking in money. I get the money daily. This year we had a little bit of a monkey wrench thrown in, but I think everybody jumped and got everything straightened out, and we're on track, and so we're hoping for a great day. So I'd like to make sure everybody tries to come out and be part of the day for us. And that's about it. That's all I have.
Larry, do you have a tally yet?
I think probably
187?
187, yeah, something like that, but it goes up every day.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So we've crushed it again. We crushed it again last year. So we're doing one
That's a head start for next year.
So yeah, that's a good start for us next year. The program that we hand out is a little bit different this year. We'll include some photographs and things of prior times and prior years. We were looking for, and I believe we do now have a guest speaker. I think Marty provided that for us. Kerr, Mr. Kerr.
Speaker.
Okay, so we may not have.
We didn't hear back. He's the commander of a ship in the ocean, and he's trying to get off a little early.
So we gotta see. That's up in the air, we're hoping. Either way, we're gonna have a great day. We pared the thing down just a little bit, so it's not as long, we're not standing out in the cold, so, as long, but, I appreciate everybody that has purchased this, or sponsored a wreath. Those that have helped sell, and one of the biggest is Jack and Johanna. I think you did 30-something this year, Jack, I really appreciate that, thank you for that. And anybody else who's purchased and helped us out. One other thing, they wanted me to ask Zach, could you provide maybe some news coverage or something like that, you think?
I will try to get somebody there.
All right.
Saturdays are tough. I happily shoot a little bit on my phone. I can do a little story on Monday.
Okay.
Definitely a preview. We come out beforehand and say, hey, this is happening on Saturday. Please come out and support.
That'd be great.
And that would probably be more helpful
Yeah.
than, hey, here's what you missed.
Right.
So I will send that along.
Once again, thank you, everybody, for what you've done and in supporting this thing. It's our 6th annual, and we're gonna keep doing it every year as long as we can.
I just want to add, Stroudsburg Herald will be covering it on their site beforehand, and they should be on site to take pictures and do an article. We're still looking for somebody from the Air Force, and don't laugh, but Space Force as well. So if anybody knows of anyone in the Air Force who would like to lay a wreath, or if there is another veteran who might want to lay the wreath for the Air Force or Space Force, those are the only two we don't have yet.
That's it. Thank you.
You wanna do the police?
Yeah, I can cover the police report real quick. Mike is not here tonight. So in November, police department responded to 5 calls for service and contacted 8 direct patrols. The October 2022 uniform crime reports were submitted as Pennsylvania State Police in Harrisburg, and the department is in the process of updating our standard operating procedures, what we talked about earlier. The police department has yet to receive any employment applications. I think Zach has said there's a couple that dinged on the website, but has not taken the next step. Incidents and calls for services, officers were called to 13 Broad Street for reported theft. The incident had been previously handled by the state police and were contacted for that information. Officers responded to 20 Delaware Avenue for the motor vehicle lockout. Access was gained using the department lockout tool without incident. Officers responded to 258 Mountain Road for a suspicious person. The incident was investigated and cleared. And the officers responded to 13 Broad Street for suspicious motor vehicle. The vehicle was gone prior to our arrival. And they responded to 90 Broad Street for the follow investigation. I don't think there's anything there yet because it's probably an open investigation.
Thank you. Fire department, Chief Ike is at the fire department holiday party, which I should be at too, but he's not available.
You could have went.
Also,
Zach
emergency
is running
management
you.
coordinator.
We wouldn't have missed you.
He's actually taking, he's actually in the middle of an emergency management coordinator class as well. But he's almost finished with that. Engineer support.
The only 2 items I have to discuss are on the new business, so unless there are any questions.
No. So we'll get back to new business.
I had just a question on, the engineering, the probable cause for the tank, cost for the tank project. Down in the bottom, after we spent $500,000, and then we add 15%, paint supplies, extra. It looks like the borough is going to buy the paint.
So this grant
I don't know that
has,
you have any expertise in doing that.
well, the paint is spec'd by,
Cappy.
Cappy, thank you. And, the grant maximum is $500,000. So the borough has to spend some money to complete the project. Now, I spoke to Derek just before the meeting. I adjusted the numbers a little bit. The bottom lines are the same, your grant request, your total responsibility is the same. But I moved more paint supplies into the total project cost, so the grant covers more of that. So the new estimate, and I can show it to you, the paint supplies are at $29,000. And then I moved admin down under borough responsibility and professional services, because I feel that those numbers could come in lower, and quite honestly, a lot lower than what the grant would have
Okay.
previously. But anyway, getting back to your question.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
That's good.
your paint supplies are spec'd by Cappy, and then, it's through CoStar, so they
Right.
supply everything, the borough just has to pay for the material.
Okay.
You don't have to
And
purchase it.
It went from 40,000 down to what?
29.
Zoning officer Mike Manter is not present. Solicitor's report, anything there?
Nothing that's not covered in this.
All right, new business. Motion to adopt the 2023 budget. Let's make that motion. Can I get Lisa?
Yes, I would hope everyone's had an opportunity to look at it, so I make a motion that we adopt 2023 budget.
I'll second.
Jack seconds the motion. Any discussion on the adoption of the 2023 budget that was advertised?
Just like to thank all those involved, because I know it's a lot of work.
Yes. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now we're on to motion to pass the 2023 tax resolution.
I make a motion that we pass the 2023 tax resolution, which reflects no increase to our taxes for 2023.
I'll second that.
And Jack is the second on that motion as well. Any discussion on the 2023 tax resolution? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Alright, motion to allow Level Engineering to start plan preparation and bid preparation management for the Cherry Valley Road Waterline Project at a cost of approximately $7,000. This, I think, we're back to.
So I was approached by Derek to prepare plans and bid specs for the project because it's probably no longer considered an emergency repair because the pipe has taken so long. So the borough would have to go out to bid the project for a contractor to come in and do work.
We feel that we should get as much done as we can right now, so when the easements are obtained and the pipe is in, we can get moving on this thing. According to our operator, Craig Labarde, the pipe that's buried in the ground is in really rough shape. So we're just trying to get as much done as we can now, so that when the time comes, we can move more quickly.
Any update on when we'll receive the pipe?
Nope, I call it no update.
You want to make the motion, Derek?
Yeah, I wanna make a motion to approve LVL to move forward with the, engineering.
I can second that.
And Bill Buzzard seconds the motion. Any further discussion, any questions about it?
I have a question on these. We have these, documents out to the people to sign and get back. Do we have any date on them? Do we see forward anything?
The only response I received was from the municipal authority. Jim Ferrari asked for the easement and word, he wanted to make some revisions to it, I haven't gotten back from him.
What, excuse me?
Jim Ferrari represents the municipal authority, and he
Right.
asked for the easement, and he had a couple of suggested revisions, so I sent it to him to make those requests, and I haven't received it back from him.
Okay, so the easements or the request to have people fill out these easements and agree to them has not happened yet.
No, they were sent.
To-
And one of
to-
the people who has, one of the entities who needs to sign an easement is the municipal authority. So Jim, on the behalf of the municipal authority, got that easement, looked at it and said, oh, I have a couple changes I would like, I don't know what they are. And so I sent it to him to suggest to me whatever changes, they were sent to everybody at the same time,
When was that? When did you say?
beginning of November.
Okay, and do they have?
I haven't received anything from anybody else.
Have we communicated with them that we would like to have a target date for these to be?
We talked about
returned?
this last meeting, the letter itself that I sent did not. So we can send something up saying if we don't hear from you by X dates, that we're gonna contact
So we're gonna recontact these people, fine, and put that in there. That's good. And would they also have something for people, that might be very willing to do this, to talk to someone and learn about it? Is there any way
Yeah, I
we
mean,
can
Derek
say-
was gonna reach out to some of them, and my number's on it, and I said if they were willing to sign and they need a notary, they can also, that there is a notary available at the Borough Hall, that the letter also said that.
I did reach out to one party, I think we really have to follow up from a legal standpoint. So we're gonna have a water committee meeting third Wednesday of this month, and I have a bunch of questions on that in terms of, cause I see this as easements going out, these guys, people getting it in the mail and them sitting on it, so I don't know what we can do from a legal standpoint to try to push this along.
I mean, there's nothing legally, I mean, from my standpoint, besides sending the letter, the easement, asking them to sign it and saying if you don't, sending something a little more forceful, saying if you don't sign it, then we'll begin procedures, legal procedures to take the easement essentially. And that would then shift over to Wyatt and his group, who you've already taken action to authorize them to do those when it went in. if
Wyatt is
necessary.
Overmeyer?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They would have to coordinate.
You
with
know,
Smith.
I made a suggestion when this project first began, that we have an informational meeting with the residents of concern all together, as opposed to one person here and that person talking over the fence to that person, and that person saying something. And maybe an invitation to, whether it's a committee meeting or maybe later in the evening, so that they all could come and just have, a facts sheet, what this entails, what it means, all those different things that people are probably discussing amongst themselves, to just kind of clarify it and dispel any rumors that they may have.
Deb sent out a pretty good cover letter. I mean, it was a one-page letter describing what's going on, why we're seeking these easements, what the purpose of this project was. I think at some point, so, you know, I mean, we can wait a little bit, but unless there's I'm thinking of a push on our end from a
I
legal
mean,
standpoint.
what I'm suggesting, and it's your committee, but what I'm suggesting is, as opposed to a push, that you bring them in with a reflection on what this means to their service, to the borough, to all of us who are, to some extent, carrying them. Because, I mean, they're paying their bills, but it's costing the borough a lot of money to continue to provide service to them. So instead of it coming to them as a letter that you just wanna chuck in the trash and go to hell with them, have a real informational invite to maybe abate some of anything, that dispel any rumors or any, you know, attitudes they may have about getting those letters. It's just a suggestion.
Yeah, okay.
I made it before.
It's a good suggestion.
I mean,
Something might work.
it can go both ways. I mean, you can send a letter that says, look, there's an informational meeting, or the next, or the Monroe Committee's having a special meeting or informational meeting on X date, if you'd like to learn more about it. However, if we don't receive anything back for you, we'll proceed with the next legal
Yeah,
step
right.
by X date. I mean, they can both be contained in the same letter. Here, you can get more information, we'll have this meeting, we can tell you more, date and time. And if they don't come to that, but if, you know, we still don't get anything, then we're gonna proceed with legal action necessary to take this by force if we have to.
That's
And I
fine.
don't know, would that even benefit us if we showed some sort of outreach?
It doesn't make any difference in the proceeding for a taking, and it is what it is.
Could be a financial detriment to organizing the people that we need something from, but
Yeah.
that's something we can consider at the committee meeting, for sure.
Well,
All right.
I just, a couple things. Do we have a time limit or a suggested time or for whatever, a goal that when the next communication goes out to someone, that we know that, you know, we'd like to do this by the end of January, blah, blah, blah?
We have some restraints from PUC, so we're working in that parameters with how we're allowed to operate at this point.
Okay.
So right now, there's any litigation, and, or there's a petition pending, and we gotta wait to the determination of that before we could push harder on moving forward.
Okay, so we're looking for a date and
We could get a date certain for sure, right after we get permission. Permission, let's start it that way.
Any idea when we're gonna get that?
Deb just filed the,
Well,
not
Overmeyer did
Overmeyer
file.
did the filing with the PUC for, authorization.
Typically, how long does that take?
I don't know, and I, can follow up with Tom Wyatt to find out what this, I mean, I know they filed, they did send me something saying that it's been filed, but I haven't, I heard from Tom today, just with them sending a correspondence they got from somebody regarding their water bill.
Yeah.
They had to send notice to the folks who they're asking for permission, the Smithfield Township. The PUC action is to allow the borough to continue serving residents in Smithfield, because we shouldn't be doing that without PUC approval, and without becoming a PUC regulated entity. So they had to send notice to those customers that this action was happening, and one of those customers sent a letter to the attorney about their water bill. Just
Okay.
clearly confused. But, I mean, so
That-
things
that
have
gives-
gone
that gives us
out
a
and
little-
things were sent
okay.
out to other people, it has been filed with the PUC. You're in PUC
We're doing
time world
everything
right
we
now.
can to get it done as quick as we can.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think once we get that back from the PUC, Lisa's suggestion is good, as opposed to just getting a letter in the mail with bills and everything else. I think those people should have all the facts and why we're doing it to help them. And I don't, you know, and it could go either way, but I know if I was there in their place, I'd like to have a face-to-face and find out why and what. Just a thought.
Sounds good. All right. So where were we?
Did we vote on that yet?
You.
For what?
To,
You made the motion,
yes.
and Bill seconded the motion, that was discussion. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion to allow level engineer to start plan preparation and bid preparation management for the Cherry Valley Road water line at a cost of approximately $7,000, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Next is discuss creating of the position of borough manager, which we already did. I sent around the ordinance that Deb gave us, a sample ordinance. They said some corrections or some changes to it. Should we discuss it any other way, or is it?
I mean, my thought would be, I don't know if the personnel committee wants to take a closer look at that ordinance, and then I can
I
mark
looked
it up
at
and.
what Jamie sent me, which was Stroudsburg's ordinance with stuff that was not applicable to a borough of our size struck from it, and it jived with my
Okay, so what
opinion.
what I could do is then, whittle, correct it down to what, with Jamie's edits for you to, personal committee to relook at and then resend out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good. So then we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah, so you just
After
need
it's
to then
circulated?
authorize me to the next one.
That's the next one.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so then, we need a motion to authorize the solicitor to prepare an ordinance to create the position of borough manager and advertise said ordinance for adoption at the January 2023 Borough Council meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Alright, Zach makes the motion.
I'll second.
Jack seconds the motion. Any further discussion on that?
Just a comment real quick, sorry, it will naturally go ahead, I'll comment afterwards.
Any further discussion on that? Nope. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right.
Zach, I looked at the borough code, it provides that council may enter into an employment agreement, and if you do, that employment agreement can't be
Yeah.
longer than 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't have to, but you can if you would like to.
Okay.
Okay.
That's better for our position. So, alright, next is discuss letter from Broadhead Watershed Association. And we received a letter from the Broadhead Association, essentially
It's in there.
looking
It wasn't
for
ordered.
us, to become a member. I guess I'll read it. Alright, dear Borough Council members, it is more important than ever to, what was that? Shall I read it?
You need to read the whole thing.
Alright, then I'm not gonna read the whole thing. Alright, joining the Broadhead Watershed Association for the coming fiscal year. So basically, they want us to join and they won't. Did everybody get a chance to take a look at this?
Yeah, Sue Cooper, you're out there?
Sue Cooper? She's out there. She's muted.
You're muted. Sue?
Yes, I'm out here, thank you.
Sue, this is Lisa, I'd like your opinion on any benefit of us joining the Broadhead Watershed Association.
I think that would show that we are supporting all this water work we're doing in our town to keep the Delaware and Cherry Creek flowing cleanly. They do a lot of good work, and they work with the Delaware River water and all the streams, that are attributed to those streams, so. But I don't know, like their agenda, I don't know what any rules go with that, so, but I like Broadhead, group, they do a lot of good work.
And that's why I asked you, because the letter doesn't really, entail what joining them mean. It says what they support, But it doesn't, as you said, it doesn't say what rules, if it's a fee, what you get out of it, what we have to
And
do.
I know I know that they have been monitoring the Cherry Creek for years because they used my, property to go in and take the water samples.
There was
So
a second
what they
page.
do with that information, I don't know.
Okay.
But,
I looked at the website.
so I know they're doing work.
I think there was a second page that.
I looked at the website, there was a lot of information on the website
With how
about
much they
I-
want.
what they're doing and memberships and that.
Yeah,
type of thing.
memberships are kind of like if you were a member of any other
They're tiered.
group, like you're supporting their work, it doesn't necessarily, you don't necessarily have to do anything.
So it's a donation.
I think, yeah, I
Pretty-
think that's all they want is money.
Pretty much, is that you,
You become a steward.
yes.
Right, okay.
Can we?
But we're supportive.
Can we table this and
Yeah,
come back
just look
at
at
it
it.
another time?
Yes, and we can get more
Absolutely.
information and forward it out, I can help get some more information from Jennifer on that.
Yeah, that works.
I was on
But
the board
they
for a
do,
short period of time.
they work all over, up and down the county. And I believe now they're going into the headwaters of the Delaware, so they are expanding what they're doing, but they've been doing really good work to make sure that all these streams stay as clean as possible.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Alright, so we'll look into it a little bit more. Actually, you want parks to take a look at it, Lisa? You wanna?
I'll look at the site and talk with Sue some more about it. I mean, if they're looking for, I mean, they're doing the work, and if they're looking for contribution as a member, like PBS or something,
I really think that's what it is.
then we need to look at what the levels are, and if we want to actually do that.
Yeah, we gotta see
Okay.
whether there's any regulations within the borough that.
Okay,
require.
so we'll look at it.
Okay, next is a motion to amend the LSA grant resolution to include 2 signatories as requested by the DCED analyst. Apparently, our, grant resolution only had 1 signatory, and it was unacceptable to DCED, they need 2 signatories. I don't know why we came up with 1,
I think we followed their resolution that,
that we had before, or
no, I
I don't
think they
even
gave
know.
us a draft resolution that we just
Maybe it's a-
adopted, but.
Yeah, from the I don't know. Either which way, they need 2 signatures, we only gave 1. So I'll make the motion to amend the grant resolution to include 2 signatories. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Alright, and Jack seconds the motion. And any discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Alright, so, Deb, you wanna do that, put the motion, the resolution together, or just add another signature line? I don't know who made the original. Is this it?
I think we had it from the grant from before, do you want me to look into it and let you know, Deb?
Yeah, and if it was something I can also, I'll look and see what we have, if I have it too, cause if I redid it from the last one,
Alright, so whatever it is,
we'll get something for you this time. Alice and I will work to concert.
Okay, sounds good. Motion to pass a resolution to apply for a small water and sewer grant through DCED.
So there's a resolution in my report, that for the small water and sewer grant that we just talked about in the amount of $500,000, for work at the water tank. It notes that Allison is the signatory, but that can be changed. And it's required for your grant application that's due on the 21st.
Everybody has one in their packet.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions?
No.
Who would like to make that motion?
Make the motion that we, apply for that grant.
Second?
Second?
We already approved applying for the grant, what you're doing today is authorizing that resolution.
Resolution for the grant, we already,
So make the motion to apply for, approve.
To
for-
authorize,
to authorize.
the resolution, to approve the resolution.
Okay, so I'll make the motion to authorize the
is this the
resolution.
resolution?
Yes, this is the small water and sewer grant
Alright, so
resolution.
I'm signing this here?
Well, once it, actually, people vote in favor of it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, there you go.
Alright, thanks. Okay, discuss and approve the new level engineering fee schedule. We're supposed to say boo next to that, but either which way. I don't- Did everybody get a chance to take a look at the new fee schedule for level?
I'll make a motion to approve the new rate schedule.
Okay, so we have Derek making the motion, we have a second. Bill seconds the motion. And anyone else have any discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Unanimously. Okay. Motion to reappoint Jim Reynolds to Municipal Authority, extending his term until December 31, 2027.
I'll make that motion.
Jim's out there. Jim, can we just make it 2050 or something? Just to cover it forever? Or at least the rest of my life? Alright,
Time, folks. Long time.
Well, we all appreciate all of the work that you do, Jim. Thank you very much. And Jack makes the motion to reappoint. Have a second?
I'll second.
Derek, seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Jim. You stuck with us till 2027. 2028, actually. Alright, motion carries. Next, we have motion to appoint Jeffrey Higbee to the Municipal Authority, sure? Alright, with his term expiring December 31st, 2027. Who wants to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Alright, Lisa makes the motion. Bill seconds the motion. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Jeff, for taking this up. Last on new, businesses, discuss move setting the date and time for council meetings for 2023 and authorize the solicitor to advertise the dates. So, same bad time, same bad channel, what do we wanna do?
7 o'clock's fine for me.
Okay, so it's the first Monday, 7 PM for the public meetings, and third,
Monday.
what was it, Monday? You wanna go, you guys, Wednesday, Monday, or whatever?
What are you talking about?
The work
The
session.
work session.
Well, I thought we had, we did Wednesday, I think we have conflict on Monday.
Oh, let's go back to Monday.
It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, Jamie, if Wednesdays are fine with me, cause you had training on Mondays, right?
Was that-
Oh, yeah, I have drills, I still have drills on Monday, that's why we couldn't do, I'm trying to think why we couldn't do Monday.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That's one
Alright,
person.
so,
Wednesdays are
third Wednesday in the month, 7 PM for work session. Alright, and we just need a motion to
I
set
think-
Can we advertise committees at the same time?
If you-
In the same,
If you know them all, if you can get them to me, yes.
Allison has the list.
If there's any changes, if not, if there's no changes, then
I don't see any change roads or personnel.
anybody have any changes?
No, not for me, not
So
for,
let's
not
set
for,
those as well.
Get the police committee off it.
budget or parks or special projects. All the same.
Alright, so we're setting all the committee meetings for the same as they were in 2022, and essentially the same for the, public meeting and the work session. And we need a motion to authorize this to advertise.
And for the public meetings, it will say that if, for the regular meeting, if a holiday falls on that date, it's up on the next, the following
Monday.
Yep. Okay?
Perfect.
Thank you.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so Zach makes the motion, do we have a
I'll
second?
second it.
Lisa seconds the motion, do we have, any discussion on that? No, alright, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And I will send the advertisement around to all of you before we actually publish it, so everyone can just double check on the committee dates and times to make sure that I didn't get anything wrong.
Alright, that's the end of new business, now into old business. Lisa, do you wanna discuss the event park permits, you wanna do that in the
I wanna
work
do that, I
session?
wanna put that on the next work session, please, so that's a work session kind of thing.
Work session. Got it, which brings us to, before we get to the rest of the old business, the next work session is Wednesday, December 21st. You guys wanna still keep that, or you wanna move it, change it, cancel it? 'Cause it's, I guess, couple days before Christmas, so it's quite honestly up to you, everybody, but Allison,
Well, I just said it's 3 days before, I don't know if everybody's
so
gonna be
I
able
just
to
wanna
make
make
it,
sure
but
everybody's
it's
aware that that's
Christmas.
what
I
it is,
know
and if
that.
everybody's
I'm not
good.
gonna,
I'm around.
Why don't, can we skip it? I'll make a motion, we just eliminate it.
Come
For
back
December. and
January?
Pick it up in January.
Right.
That's
That's
fine.
fine.
I don't know if we need a motion for it.
Won't hurt.
Work session.
Well, you can just have that you're canceling it, it doesn't matter.
Work session canceled for December, next work session January.
January.
Okay. All right, very good. Now, zoning ordinance, Derek, you wanna talk about anything, or?
Yeah, so I'm reaching out to Carson. What I'd like, what I'm asking him for is a revised schedule of uses, because we've been going back and forth a lot. And that would include some modifications we included for, group homes, transient housing, transitional housing. And I'd kinda like to use that for we can do that in January on a work session. And if everybody is okay with that schedule of use, to me, that's the last step as far as giving the final approval for the new zoning ordinance. Cause everything else has been gone over numerous times. So that's the update.
Sounds good. So
Yeah.
we'll put it on, we'll discuss the January work session, and maybe in February, we'll be ready to go. Cherry Valley water line project, we
talked.
discussed it, and appointment of chairs for those 3 committees, that's gonna get tabled again. And that ends the old business. Anybody have any committee reports? Ms. Cooper, you have a committee report you wanna give us?
Yes, actually I do. I attended a meeting with the NPCA, and they're putting together a committee to look at, zoning for, view sheds and for industrial parks. As you know, Upper Mount Bethel is putting in a gigantic, industrial park, and it's going to be on land right along the river. And they'd like to work with communities up and down the river to protect the actual, view sheds of the river. So, the thing with Upper Mount Bethel is, that was totally zoned industrial, that area. So, it's pretty much a done deal. I know they're working on some questions and some water concerns and some things, but, that is going to happen. There will be a huge industrial park, right there in Mount Bethel. So we're trying to come up with, working with municipalities to get some, wording to protect, the actual open space that we have along the river. But in Pennsylvania, we have the fair share zoning, which means you cannot you can't zone something out. You have to include everything in your zoning. I'm sure Derek is well aware of this. The problem comes in where, when these industrial park areas were done, everybody just looked at it as jobs and opportunity and everything, and no one ever anticipated these huge warehousing, that go into an industrial park. Nobody envisioned it when they started making the zoning. So the zonings have to be looked at again for that type of thing. So that was an interesting startup meeting. The 9/11 trail signs are going up as we speak on Cherry Valley Road. And as soon as they're done, they're gonna start in Portland and bring them north along 611. So that is happening. Waste Management gave $50,000 to the 9/11 committee to work on the trail. The other thing that's happened is, I think I reported that we had our first, hiker along the trail, the 9/11 trail. Most of the time it's been bikers, it's short hikes. but this gentleman is a wounded warrior and he did the entire thing.
Wow.
And so what happened in that was a huge amount of conversation. And you know how the Appalachian Trail has, trail towns to support, the trail, towns along the trail want to support and encourage hiking along the trail. And so we're looking to do the same thing, and we are hoping that Delaware Water Gap, when we get to all the wording and however we're going to do this, because we're just starting to tackle it now, to be supportive of that. The hostel at the church has said that yes, they would support the thru hikers that you are doing the 9/11 trail. So I'll keep reporting back as this goes, because this is a brand new thing for the trail. And of course now we have Terry and Mary Ann to help along this great adventure, which I'm really thankful for. And so that's about it. We're still working. We're out there doing it. So thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for keeping us in the loop. A lot of that stuff sounds very exciting. I mean, it sounds like it's happening fast too, faster now. It's been a while.
It's now happening very fast. It's happening in huge sections, and the support is just becoming, it's a snowball. It's just getting huge. So we're very fortunate that President Biden has signed it into as a national trail, and now we're getting all kinds of support from everywhere. So it's moving.
Thank you very much. Anybody else on a committee report?
I just wanna thank the members of the budget committee, which includes, most importantly, Allison, for all the work done to get the budget done on time, and everyone in agreement, and being able to conduct that without raising our taxes. We haven't raised them in a long time, so it was a peak with inflation, so I thank you all for your help.
Thank you.
Good job, Lisa, too.
Personnel committee, we're going to, in executive session, talk about hiring a new superintendent. We got about 20 applications for the superintendent position. I think we had phone calls with about 10 of them, had 3 or 4 of them come in to meet us in person, and we're going to discuss who made it through all of that, and hopefully agree on somebody so that we can get them starting this week. Have a little bit of overlap with Harry. I think that's really important, if possible. Roads, I had to work for the last committee meeting, but Jack and Harry, you guys met. Peter from the Trolleys was here at the borough meeting. We asked him to come back to the roads meeting, and he didn't show up.
No, we waited for an hour.
Yeah. His season's over, so he might not care all that much at this time.
Right.
I don't know. Was there anything in that meeting that?
No, we discussed, Bob Markey is prepared to, if in fact we can't come up with someone to take Harry's position in time, he's prepared to plow her.
Did Bob Markey finish all the little paving things between last meeting and this meeting?
Yes, he's completed all the work
Yeah.
that was on the list to be done.
That's all I've got.
Anybody else? I went to the COG meeting last week, and I had the pleasure of meeting Deb's husband, Rich. He was there on behalf of Pocono Pony. He was talking about all the services that they offer, and many of the services are offered right here in Delaware Water Gap. There's an app, and there's also a ride programs for seniors. He gave us a bunch of information, which I gave to Allison. We're gonna figure out how to mobilize that information and get it out to the people, but that was basically it on the COG. All right, so then that concludes our agenda items. Now we're opening up to public comments for off agenda issues. Who would like to be the first Person to comment.
So pick up where I left off.
Okay, Marty.
The constable.
Question to
Again, you know, whatever, he's paid by the borough and, so there was you know, he had to act at the last meeting because somebody got out of hand. And it's like, does that, like, is he supposed to report to the board or like to who? See, nobody knows, but, that's like, maybe that's, you know, the problem. If somebody, he is here to keep the peace. If he has to do that.
He's autonomous, he doesn't answer to, he answers to himself. As in his capacity as a peacekeeper.
So what if somebody, acts out, even if it's outside, and you're not gonna make note of that, or,
Call the police, is that what you're saying?
well, that's what he should.
Huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. Alright, second question. Okay.
Well, just to elaborate on what you said, I did just speak to the constable about that. He said because it was verbal and there was no punches thrown or anyone hit, if there were, he would have had to arrest someone. But your wife was out of control last week against me and Pete Begley outside.
So maybe we do need a constable.
Well, I was thankful he was there.
Any other comments, questions, concerns?
Well, yeah, I wanna read something, because you appointed a few different people to committees and, Terry as well to the board. And this is just a letter that you sent to Tammy in regard to her, being possibly appointed the chairman of the, Brenda Delaware. So, and this was one of the conditions.
So you wanna read a letter? Is that what
I'm
you're
gonna read what was described to her that, well, just let me read it.
Knock yourself out.
As an agent of the borough, your actions have affected, could potentially expose the borough and its residents to liability and financial harm. So, please follow our solicitor's instructions with regard to a committee person's conduct in and out of public meetings. Does everybody else get that though?
I don't know what you're saying.
She got that in particular.
Was everybody else copied on that? You had me, I don't remember this, so I don't know.
No, it's from you.
What was that?
It's from you.
No, I know.
Does everybody get that you appoint?
Everybody get what?
A letter like that?
I'd even if it isn't a letter.
She would have been the only member of council who was a committee chair. That's why a letter went to her explaining the situation. Everybody else is covered under the insurance. Either which way.
It's more
Any other
in regard to
comments?
the behavior.
What was that?
And it's more in regard to the behavior.
So what's your question?
What's that?
What was your question?
I'm not asking a question, it's a comment.
Got it.
The question is if all the other people that are added to these committees have to abide by the same standards that you're.
They're all elected officials. She wouldn't have been.
There's no way around it. Why worming around it? You know, did you mention to Jeff that he has to,
Jeff's in the
there's a
municipal
certain.
authority. That's,
What?
he's part of the municipal authority. It's a separate entity from the borough.
We just appointed him.
It doesn't matter. Anybody, that is, representing the borough, or even Terry Fig.
They have their own solicitor.
What's that?
They have their own solicitor. They have their own structure. They're separate departments, as they're supposed to.
So you have separate standards.
It's not the standards. He doesn't.
You have separate
he can't-
standards. That's okay.
Any other questions, comments?
Yeah.
Per an earlier discussion tonight, yes, I'm all in favor of accounting where my money is being spent. But I find it so disgusting that certain members challenge a bill for the $181 for hats. But not one of you had any issue with wasting $3,800 on a sign, which is more than 20 times that $181.
What sign are you speaking of?
The Bill Buzzard sign.
We did not pay for that.
It was donated, didn't come out of the treasury.
But when it was run up, it wasn't donated at that point, and you all agreed to it
We agreed to get prices at that time.
for $3,800.
No, we didn't vote
No,
on
that was just an
38.
estimate that I'd gotten from one.
Right, that was the estimate, but none of you said, no, that's too much.
No, they asked me to get more estimates.
But nobody challenged it for the $3,800.
Okay, but we didn't all sit and challenge the hats. It was brought up, a bill, I didn't even see it. What is it? What are you speaking of? We looked at it, it's done.
Well,
There was no across the board fighting or challenging of the hats.
He brought it up.
All right, any other, you done with your comment?
I don't know, I have 3 minutes.
Okay, are you commenting?
Fill
I'm gonna still go.
Keep going.
Sit down, filibuster.
No, I'm done.
Next question. Comment or issue?
Yeah, Harry mentioned the count, I guess it was the catch basin was inspected again, and, or not?
Lake Lenape Dam,
Right.
DEP inspected it.
Right, and that's typically, that's a 5-year thing, like with the catch basin, every 5 years.
According to what I read, they're supposed to look at them every year.
Okay. So the Lake Lenape, they consider the dam the outlet?
Just the report said that the area of the Lake Lenape Dam, the only thing they had a concern about was the overgrowth and some of the debris around the dam.
But did he specify what
And there's
overgrowth?
nothing else in the conversation about
Is
it.
it the same inspector that did?
I don't know.
So I can get a copy of that.
Should be able to.
Yeah.
I can't answer, I don't know. You should be able
Well,
to.
you got a copy, right?
I got an email.
Alright. We just did, whatever, I don't know. And it specified what, brush had to be clear.
No, they didn't, actually. They just
It
said,
was one sentence in a thing, trying to find it.
Did it say should or must?
It's actually a very good report, if that's all they're asking for.
Yep.
Right, Missy?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said it was a very good report, that's the only thing they're asking for, we're fortunate.
Yeah, what else?
Specifically says, if I can read,
Yeah, go ahead.
overgrowth and debris should be cleared around the dam.
Okay.
But just that, you
You
know.
can get a copy of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
right, because actually the overgrowth around the dam has been there for 40, 50 years that I can remember. And the only reason that now water can go that way is because the ground was built up higher to the right of it. So now it actually overflows there and then brings debris to catch into that brush. So you might wanna look at actually blowing the hump that you built as opposed to taking out the stuff that's been there for as long as I can remember.
Okay. Other questions, concerns, issues?
Yeah, I have.
Yep.
Oh, so I guess, so originally the increase in the water rate was 22.5%, and it was supposed to cover, repair of the water tank. I guessed it was gonna be 500.
That and other things.
What's that?
That and other things.
Yeah, we covered all those things, and they've been covered in committee meetings as well. Okay, what was your question?
Well, it wasn't reported to the residents, it was, we needed this money for 500,000, what are the other things? There aren't any.
We discussed.
The main thing is that we haven't had a price increase in 6 years. Electric rates are going up, chemical costs are going up, contractor costs are
Well,
going
of
up.
course, across the board.
Across the board, it's called
Operating of
inflation.
the water system.
And that's what the adjustment was about.
Any other questions,
Those,
comments,
yeah, those
concerns?
questions were asked numerous times, any kind of documentation of it.
Third Wednesday, when's the next water committee meeting?
Third Wednesday.
Third Wednesday of the month, 3
Third
o'clock.
Wednesday, 3 o'clock. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Tim?
Is there gonna be police oversight committee this month?
No.
Of course not.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I wanna say something.
Okay.
Just,
All right, go
sorry,
ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You just went back to the hiring a constable into the police salaries. I mean, it's my job, I depend upon them a lot, and they've always been great. My families in crisis and children with trauma. And I just like to see that salary, I wasn't here for the meeting of that borough manager, but those salaries, I think should be going toward that constables, police, and things like that. But I see it on my job, and I haven't had any problems in this town, but with Stroud, Pocono Regional, I think they've always had to be great with my people. And they've had reasons sometimes to get physical, and they didn't. So I just want to add that in.
Okay. Thank you, Marty. You're up.
Yeah, Lisa, I mean, she brought up a good point months ago in regard to, the handling of the Cherry Valley, the water issue. And so now we're months down the road, and now she made a good suggestion of just literally bringing the people in, right, and having an informational thing where everybody sits here and they actually all hear the same thing. And for some reason, there's still resistance to that.
No resistance, that's a committee meeting assignment, and it will be brought up in the committee meeting.
Committees report to the board though, right? The board makes the final decisions.
Absolutely.
Why don't they
We
make
haven't,
the
we haven't gotten a
decision?
report back from the committee yet, cause it hasn't been discussed.
I think she made it was a great,
Absolutely.
suggestion. Have
And
everybody
I'm sure it'll be
come in.
discussed at the committee meeting.
Have everybody come in. And what it reminds me of though is because the letters that you're sending, in regard to, taking their property or, you know, eminent domain, all the scary stuff.
Nobody
whatever
sent
it is.
any letters saying that.
It reminds me of, Spencer just went through the same type of thing, trying to, get his portion, say, of the paper road, up off a mountain road. That, you know, he sent letters out, and what happens is everybody gets together and they get angry and they get defensive. And, I think her suggestion of getting everybody actually together in front of the board or, to speak and get all the facts would be far better. You know, I think it's a great idea.
And the letter that was sent was not threatening, did not threaten to take anyone's property. All it said is that the water line's failing, it needs to be replaced, and to do that, we need to be able to access your property. That's what the easement's for. That's all it said. It wasn't like,
But there was talk of, you know.
there was also talk of having a meeting with everyone. Both conversations happened and no decision was made today.
Right. But even, you know, the talk of then having to go to eminent domain, it just seems like it'd be far better to just get everybody together.
Right, but even if you get everyone together, it's not saying everyone's gonna sign the piece of paper, so the
Right.
conversation about eminent domain still needs to happen.
Yeah.
And it is a different situation from with Spencer, because Spencer sent us all a letter saying, give me the land or I'm going to sue you. But we did actually get together, I formulated a meeting with him, with those residents, and we went out there with him and looked at the paper road property and explained to him a number of reasons why we weren't signing it and giving it over. One of them was that one of the residents' utilities sat in the middle of that paper road. And the other point was access to other people's property.
Oh.
So it's a different situation.
Yeah, it isn't
The
because
first
I'm not gonna get
initial
into it.
contact we had was, sign this or I'm suing you. In this particular instance, it's going through proper governmental procedures,
Right.
but I also do agree that
Right.
to meet, just like we met with Spencer, talk about it, as opposed to everybody calling each other.
Right.
Okay.
Mark Wolf wrote that letter though, not Spencer.
Any other, questions, comments, concerns?
I have one, just let me
Okay.
go over this for a second.
So, the constable wasn't listed in, like, all the people that attended, like you guys, and Harry, Melissa.
In the minutes.
On the minutes. Up until October he was listed. Why wasn't he listed from April through September? Because he wasn't employed by the town?
I don't exactly know what you're asking. Listen,
I don't know how I can make it more simple.
Are you, oh my
I don't.
He wasn't listed as attending these meetings until October,
I don't know.
on the minutes.
No idea.
So, why did he all of a sudden now become part of the attendees in October?
Don't know.
Of course you don't.
Marty?
You don't know much.
Yeah.
Yes, Marty, no, Marty. Anybody else?
Yeah, while we're waiting, I guess, this was the only council ever that had to take a class on the Sunshine Law and doesn't know simple Robert's Rules of Order. I think one might want to perfect that before, I don't know, like running for district judge or something, might be helpful.
What was that? I think so, thanks. Anybody else?
Germano.
Got it.
Team Germano.
You got it, Marty, good.
He doesn't know the Sunshine Law.
Can we bring him in?
Like, I don't think we can, I don't see why
Can I
not.
move that we enter executive session?
Yeah.